Hello people of YouTube, and your most inconsistent YouTuber has returned. And today I'll be reviewing State of Decay 2, primarily talking about the new Lethal Zone that has recently just came out, and I guess overall with the Juggernaut edition.
I'm fully recovered and feeling
And
great.
State of Decay 2 is a Microsoft exclusive. You can only get it on PC and Xbox, so sorry for the PlayStation users. So this video probably will not be that long considering Juggernaut Edition has been out for quite a while, 1 or 2 years, and so it shouldn't be as long as my last review, but let's get started. So let me start off with the Lethal Zone that has recently just came out,
Don't move a muscle. I'm on my way.
which is a new difficulty. The difficulties in State of Decay 2 are Green Zone, which is easy, Standard, which is normal, Dread, which is hard, Nightmare, hard, the fourth hardest, and then Lethal, which is even harder than Nightmare. Nightmare is only difficult for when you're still kind of fresh to the game, but once you get the hang of Nightmare, Lethal is, Nightmare is pretty much a joke, and it gets extremely easy. The only hard part is just the enclaves, and if you're like low on stuff, it's really hard to get killed in Nightmare. But Lethal, it's a whole new story. It's extremely difficult at times. Sometimes you might be like, oh, this is not too hard, but the other time you're just gonna get swarmed by everything, and then you're gonna be like, wow. And you might even lose a character in the process. So Lethal Zone actually, in my opinion, makes the game more fun. Like, obviously, if you're new to the game, I would honestly recommend you start at Dread at the minimum. Standard is, yeah, if you like have no confidence whatsoever, then go with Standard. Green is just a joke. And so I would recommend starting with Dread, maybe do like one playthrough on Dread so you can get the hang of everything, and then switch over to Nightmare. And then once you get the hang of Nightmare, then move on to Lethal, which is extremely fun. And for the people who don't know what CK2 is, it is a zombie survival management game where you start off with 4 survivors, but then if you do the tutorial, you start off with 4, if you don't, you start off with 3, and you get different amount of supplies like food, materials, ammo, fuel, stuff like that you'll probably see occasionally me pan on screen. And there's 4 different maps. There's 4 different maps, all in their own way good. I like all of them. I like 3 out of the 4 maps. There's one called Drucker County, which in my opinion is my least favorite, but there's gonna be people out there. But in my opinion, they're all good in their own way. Just because I don't like Drucker County doesn't mean it's not a bad map. In my opinion, I do not like it. I find it too much of a nuisance to play on Drucker County, but that's just me. But there's 4 different maps, all to their own, play styles.
This should mean we don't have to feel so worried about infestations
in this
for a
game,
bit.
there's the standard zombies that you see, and then there's the uncommon zombies, which are the soldiers and SWATs that you'll sometimes see on gameplay
Dear God, I'm
fighting. And those soldiers and SWATs wear bulletproof helmets, which makes them immune to headshots. So if you wanna kill them with headshot, you have to land a couple bullets for their helmet to pop off. Then you can one-tap them, and every gun in this game one-taps every single normal zombie. to the head. So any gun you have will one shot to the head. And there's also special infected, which are the bloaters, which
I see a plague bloater.
Some ways they're kind of like based off the Left 4 Dead 2 zombies. There's the bloater, which is like the boomer, and there's the screamer, which was originally supposed to be in Left 4 Dead 2, but that's scrapped. And there's the feral, which some people could say somewhat related to the hunter because it's on all four. It doesn't pounce on you like the hunter, but if you get pounced, it's GG's. In this game, it'll jump on you and like bite your neck and like throw you around. So in some ways, it's related to the hunter.
Smell them hanging around.
Left 4 Dead. Then there's the Juggernaut, which is like a behemoth of a tank. It's like the tank, which is very much like the tank. It's extremely bullet resistant. It takes the only way to kill is by either meleeing it or by putting a bunch of bullets into its head, because it takes reduced damage to the body. I'm pretty sure by 50%. And the best way to kill them is if you have a big community, you can bring them in, and if everyone has decent weapons, then yeah, you can bring them to your community, and then they're just all doink them. Or you can take out a an anti-material rifle, and around 4 to 5 bullets puts the Juggernaut out of commission. And from my knowledge, all the special infected. And something about this game as well is that you can get injured. So yeah, there's different types of injuries like scrapes, bites, lung inflammation or inhalation, or I don't know exactly what they're called, but there's different injuries that lowers your max stam and health until you let them rest a bit, until you let them rest in your community for a bit, and then they will slowly regenerate health and remove the wounds and everything over time. And something else that also made this game unique is when the game first came out, in my opinion, it was extremely boring.
To drop off some supplies?
People were, if they were telling me, oh, should I get it? I would be like, no, because there's not much to do after like a day or two. Probably like, this is kind of easy and boring.
Heading your way, come hell or high water.
There's no motive.
One thing we humans have going for us? Hope.
Then that's when the Juggernaut edition came out and added different playthroughs where people have different leader traits, and depending on their leader traits, you get a boon, which gives you a certain bonus in your next playthrough. There's the builder that gives you water and power for free without needing to claim outposts. There's the sheriff, which every day will give you random high quality loot. The trader, which it starts off with quite a bit of influence, which is the currency, and when you start your next playthrough, a trader will visit your base so you can buy stuff. And then there's the warlord, which you just start off with a bunch of good loot, and they all have their pros and cons. Two of them being basically one-offs, which it helps you in the early game, but in the long term it doesn't. That's it. Amenities help you tremendously. You have 2 less outpost slots you gotta wait for power and water, which saves fuel consumption. And then the sheriff, which gives you high quality loot randomly. Sometimes you might get not something that isn't that good, but it's incredible. And they will have different ways of completing it depending on which way they'll have a different way of reaching objective.
He's still alive.
Are there more of them? Please tell me what going on.
And another thing that makes this game unique is that you can make facilities that, depending on the facility you make, will give you something that tells you in there. But
Looks like we got a
example,
floater.
like, you can make a workshop so you can repair your weapons and
Just because we're all in
weapons
this together doesn't mean
and
everybody
melee
always
weapons.
gets along. An occasional
then
difference of
there's
opinion is fine.
The
Just don't let it get out of hand.
the garden that lets you build food, make food, and there's quite a bit of buildings, to each their own. So there's a lot of creativity you can do, a lot, or there's two that are pretty much mandatory: the infirmary and the workshop are pretty much mandatory. Without those, it makes your game so difficult. Like, the hardest experience ever. You don't make an infirmary or
Zombies
workshop.
can get
You
lonely.
have the and play on lethal. You have the hardest. And lethal zone is incredibly difficult. Everything is all zombies do double damage than they do.
Fucking show them we won't go quietly.
It's just lethal zone it just making it actually a challenge makes the game incredibly fun. In my opinion, some people might be like, "Oh, you're crazy thinking Nico is actually fun," but if you play State of Decay for so long, it becomes, like I said earlier, a joke, and it's just like, "Oh, okay." The only thing I gotta worry about is just not getting swarmed by Spectral Infected Swarm, and when I fight against other enclaves.
Anyone free over there? We could use some help.
But it's just that's pretty much all Nightmare is. You're like, oh, let me watch out for these two things, and that's all I gotta worry about. And Nightmare is it's fun. It was fun at first, but like I said, it just becomes too easy. Lethal is so much more fun. Everything's actually a challenge. Everything is a lot harder. So that's why, in my opinion, do I recommend you guys to get State of Decay 2? Of course. If you have Game Pass, it is free because Game Pass gives State of Decay 2 is a first-party Microsoft exclusive, and also, for the people who own the Series X and S, they did an update to the game about 2 weeks ago, I think, that made it where if you're on the Series X, you play 4K 60, and if you're on the Series S, you play at 1080 60 FPS. So everything becomes a lot more fluid, because on Xbox One, it is 1080 30, and if you're on the One X, 4K 30, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure on the One X it's 4K 30 FPS and 1080 30 still. So, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong about the One X. It could probably still be like 1080 or something. All I know is that it was definitely 30 FPS. And so if you have Game Pass, obviously give it a try. You know, it doesn't hurt. It's free. But if you don't have Game Pass, I highly recommend if you're into zombie survival management games, because it is extremely fun going out to get supplies, defending your base from invasions that you see that was somewhere in the gameplay, and it's just an incredible game, honestly. And also, you can also customize your character, because you can find items when looting, which provides clothing items, and then there's also bounties you can get from the bounty broker. And showing on screen right now, the bounty broker, you can visit him to get some bounties for weapons, customization items, facility mods, and there's lots to do, lots to do. So of course I recommend it, and I think it's like $30–40 on the Xbox store if you do not have Game Pass. So definitely a steal in my opinion. It provides hours and hours of fun. There's technically four different
Hey,
ways
we
to
need a hand
complete the
over here.
game. So
Strength in
I
numbers, right?
cannot recommend it enough. So can't recommend it enough. I would rate State of Decay 2 an easy 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I can see if some people would rate it a 6 because it's the same 4 maps, the same 4 things, but I don't know. In my opinion, I would give it I guess I would change my rating to a 6 to an 8 out of 10. I can't see the game being 5 out of 10 in my opinion. But as all these reviews, these are always, as I said, I always say it all the time in all my reviews, you know. I always say a lot of the time, in my opinion, because these are my reviews. You can say what you want. I give a description. You can take whatever I say the way you want it. Pick it as you will, but I feel like State of Decay 2 is 100% worth at least a try, especially if you have Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, it doesn't hurt to at least give State of Decay 2 a try. It is incredibly fun. It's a unique experience, a breath of fresh air. And you can find a more in-depth review from other YouTubers, but I was just doing an overrun just because this game's been out for a year, so the majority of people probably already seen a review for State of Decay 2. So we're been out for a year or two, but I thought, why not review it again, because the Lethal Zone just came out, so a lot of people who haven't played State of Decay 2 in a while, or been looking for a reason to play, now here's your reason to it. And yeah, so I would give it, there's also 3 game modes technically. The main story, which you play with the 4 maps. There's Heartland, which is a new map that you get free now. And then there's a multiplayer game mode, which is a 4-player survival. Survive 7 waves, gets harder by the way, and you can unlock unique building facilities, facility mods, and stuff like that, which costs prestige points. And you can also buy red talent soldiers, which are the best of the best, as you can see that I'm showing my community how one of them is wearing black and he has firearm maintenance, which is exclusive to red talent, and it gives you mechanics, engineering, and durability loss per shot, 50% less durability loss per shot for guns, and it's exclusive to red talent. And also forgot to explain, there's skills that you can take you can master into certain things, and it's an extremely fun game, very unique, many combinations, many ways to play the game. Technically there's only 4 ways technically, but you can play a different way. You can be like, oh, let me do Lethal Zone with fresh new characters, because when you beat a game you can take 3 characters into your next playthrough, but if you still want like an Uber challenge, you can do 3 fresh new characters, meaning they're just fresh. They don't have anything on them, they don't have points, they just have whatever points they have at that time, then whatever skills they have at that time. And yeah, it's an incredibly fun game. I would highly recommend you guys giving it a try. It is so worth the money. So this was a short video, but nonetheless 6 to 8 out of 10. like, comment, and subscribe, and keep on glitching in those video games.